Dude, what the hell happened in Nasus? So many things were going on. It was a fun event to watch. I think, other than the Malice duels. There are certain meta decks that I don't like watching, and Malice is one of them. But yeah, it was a decent event. Everyone was wishing for a ban list. It didn't happen. I mean, I know Euros is in a week and a half at this point, but you can always just set the ban list date for after the event. You know, some kind of transparency would be nice about ban list dates. Started treating us better recently with releasing ban lists at YCSs, and for some reason they just stopped doing that with no sort of communication, and that's one of Konami's issues. But yeah, first place, Orchist. Who would have fucking thought? I mean, seriously, that final round was won entirely off of like just non-engine and vibes. It's like Lancia game 2, Bestials, and Fiendsmith game 3. That's basically like non-engine and tech cards. Like, you can't say you're playing an Orcus deck and then have Fiendsmith be your win condition. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's almost like Orcus locks itself into Dark as part of its combo line, and you're still on Fiendsmith. That's how crazy it is that Orcus Fiendsmith Bestial still does work. It's obviously, it worked enough to get first place at an event with 2,800 duelists. But yeah, I mean, shit. No Mitsu Ryziel in the top 4, which is pretty crazy. All the Ryziel players got to top 8 before they got kicked out. And then you even have Vanquish Soul making its first appearance here. This is pretty much like a larger, I mean, this is like a more competitive YCS, so this is a really good view of what's good in the format right now. And even pre-banlist, when we know Malice is going to get hit and we know Ryziel is going to get hit, the fact that Gem Knight is still putting up a top 4 placement right here, Orcus putting up a top 4 placement right here, Vanquish Soul putting up a top 8 placement, even before K9, we know that these archetypes are solid. Going down the list, we got one Blue Eyes in top 16, and then it's like a back and forth between Malice and Mitsurugi, all the way going into top 32. Once you start to see a little more variance with White Forest making a top appearance, Sales Band in main, that's very interesting. We see Evil Twin make it to top 32. I haven't seen a lot of people mention this, but it's there. This should have been one of the matches on stream. I didn't watch day 1, so I don't know if this was on stream day 1, but this should have been one of the matches on stream. Like, you saw Evil Twin and at top 32, and you're not putting it on stream. I don't know why they did, you know. And then Punk, Fiendsmith, right? And this is one of those decks where this may not exist post-banlist because they hit Moon, but otherwise the fact that it still got top 32, pretty good. And even one Lunalight here in top 32 as well. This is a deck that more people were confident in, and I guess it's just too weak to low impact hand traps. Like, the lines are too weak to low impact hand traps. Like Imperm on Leo, or not Imperm, but like hitting the Leo with a monster negate, essentially. I mean, it could be Imperm if they don't set it up right, or Droll or Valor really hurts Lunalight a lot. And if they can get into Perfume looping, then they should be fine, but oftentimes they can't get into that. Like, if they can loop their Perfume and their Tiger, they should be fine, but it may not get to that. So it's a weird archetype. Obviously, its end boards are pretty crazy, like having double towers and Baguska, or SP implicit towers and Baguska is pretty crazy, but it's not enough, I guess. And then going into top 64, we see more Orchist. One water player got here, or maybe it's more than one. There might be, yeah, there's 2 of them. We see Memento, which is something that I guess more people thought was going to do better, and I guess it didn't. Interesting that they're playing the Magistus Fusion. I didn't even know Memento was on that shit. See more Malice, more Mitsurugi, and then Goblin Biker. And this is the real, I guess, showcase of the video today. How the hell did Goblin Biker make it to top 64 of the NAWCQ? Well, let's look over the list first, right? So we see triple Gomwald, triple Doug, 1 Clatter, 1 Mean Merciless, and I can already tell you that this in a 40 card deck is very brave. Like, they're fully committing to Goblin Engine with Grand Entrance, Grand Breakout, Grand Bash. It's like the only thing they're really not playing is the Goblin Engine trap cards. And even then, those are completely optional. You don't have to play those. He didn't even have to play Grand Bash. I understand why. When I first saw this list, I was like, I never really liked Grand Bash, but now that I think about it, if you resolve and or if you've already used your normal summon, let's put it like that, because there are some games where he uses normal summon and then he resolved Breakout, and he goes Gone Wild into Doug, and now he just has 2 monsters with different levels. What is Doug Charter supposed to search that gets you into a rank 3 or into a Exceed monster? Because normally my black ass would have told you just search another Breakout or search Grand Entrance, but neither of these would help you in that scenario. And I guess it does make sense that Grand Bash can problem solve some issues with this archetype. I got frustrated with Grand Bash because it felt like the deck needed to play more non-engine to work. Like, this little non-engine to me is very brave, and it worked out for him. He kept all he really kept all his like high impact hand traps besides Droll in the side deck, and only sided them in when he knew that they would be good for the matchup. But this is only 13 hand traps in main, like 14 non-engine slots. And I think that's kind of crazy. We also see Lacrima here, which is very interesting because we're going to go over the replay right after this. And there was a point where he could have went for Lacrima but didn't. And I thought I kind of thought he just wasn't on Lacrima plus Paradise, because I thought he would have went for those cards, but he didn't, which I found very interesting. Terratop, I mean, it's weak to Droll, but it's good through everything else. And there's even a line where after they Astra Requiem, so if you bait them out and you use Fiendsmith to bait out the hand drops, they Astra Requiem, then you go Terratop, and then you start your Goblin lines, and that's really strong. And then triple Grand Entrance, I get it, you know, we're in a YuGiOh format, and we're about to go into a K9 format, so Grand Entrance is going to be putting in that work. It's just really brave to play 3 of these, because I don't know if you've ever drawn a handful of Goblin cards, like just strict Goblins, and maybe like 1 low impact hand trap, and you just don't want to play the deck anymore. Like there were just some times where I would get hands like that and I just would not want to play the deck anymore. And that's why I slowly increased the deck size, or started decreasing the numbers of the Dougs, the Gone Wilds, to play the deck as quote unquote optimally as possible. But I can kind of respect that Joshua here, that's his name, Joshua Riddell, kind of just took this deck and said, hey, full Goblin, full send, right? Let me see. Okay, so he got top 8 at a regional in March with Goblin Biker. That's probably what got him his invite. And so I was also a little curious about this, because I'm like, there's no way you would be bringing Goblin Biker to Nats if you didn't already top with the deck. There's no way that you would get your invite, start playtesting for Nats, and say, wow, out of all the decks in this format, Goblin Biker has to be the one that I'm going to take. No, you have to already be a Goblin Biker specialist, you can say. I mean, I do respect the Morphtronic top here 2 years ago, even though it's an FTK variant. It's still very funny. So this was a Goblin player through and through, probably playing Goblins for as long as you can imagine. And the thing I like about this is that this list hasn't changed since Supreme Darkness. Besides like non-engine slots, you could show me this exact list on the release of Supreme Darkness and I'd be like, yeah, that seems decent. You know, Lancia from Malice, Molcharmies, Droll wasn't as strong back then, but you know, again, you could just swap out the non-engine. But like the extra deck, like there's nothing new here from Alliance Insight, nothing new from Duelist Advance. We're not using any of that Utopia stuff. It's just Fiendsmith Goblin Biker. Like once we got A-Bow, we were like, wait a minute, Engraver's the starter? Okay, bet, let's get this shit. So I can respect this player's dedication to the Goblin Biker side of things and not veering off into playing, or the way that I did, I ended up increasing the deck size to fit more non-engine, which did work in some games, but it also hurt me in some other games when I wasn't getting enough engine and I was only playing with the Fiendsmith side of things. And yeah, sometimes that would hurt me too. So you do want to see engine, but you also really want to see Fiendsmith. I also think like single tracked, you know, I was under the impression that double tracked was the best way to go, because, or even like playing a single copy of Fiendsmith sequence if you're worried about Droll was also a good way to go, so that way the sequence can still resolve under Droll and you still get at least Requiem into Caesar. You won't be able to make Desiree unless you have more Light Fiends, or unless you have full combo in rotation, like unless you have more starters. But I mean, the one track helped him out. I mean, we're gonna see the feature match. This dude had the luck of the Irish with the track. And yeah, I was never a big fan of Agnumde, but I can see its value. Underworld Goddess makes sense. IP to me with Abao, it was good, but it was also kind of optional. Double Big Gabanga, I mean, that's a good choice when you're going full Goblin engine. I get it, right? You're going Grand Bash, you might as well fully commit to Goblins. I liked to still at least keep another rank 3 like Gossip Shadow or something, just in case I wanted to play through certain hand traps, but Joshua didn't need it, right? Crazy Beast is still the best Exceed, and one of the best Exceeds in the game that not a lot of people can access, but it being part of the Goblin engine makes it really special. And then Wave King Caesar. Chaos Angel here to me seems very it's hard for me to know like what situations this is best in. I know that like pre Mitsurugi, people like this a lot against Ryziel because it was very hard for a detonator to out this. With the light, it was hard for detonator to out this, and so Ryziel players had a tough time dealing with Chaos Angel. So I understand why it's here, but I'm also like I'm a little surprised that there's no Typhon here. I would think Typhon would be one of the best cards for this deck just because of the way that the engine works and all this and that, but I guess not. This man Joshua didn't need it. I also think Charmies in the side are very brave. If you lose that dice roll, I mean, and you're only on 13 non-engine, you're only going to draw one. Like mathematically, you have like a 75 to 85% chance to draw like one hand trap. That's a rough estimate off the top of my head. I know 12 is around 75 to 85% just off the top of my head. But drawing 2 hand traps is basically like a coin flip. It's not even like that consistent. So it's really rare that it's not really rare, but it's not often that you'll draw more than one. And for you to have it be anything other than Droll is kind of scary in a format like this where some decks just don't care about hand traps. If you draw any hand trap here that isn't Droll, it's a little scary. So that's why Charmies kind of balance it out, right? Because then you can draw into other hand traps on top of Charmies where they not only have where your opponent not only will have a lower ceiling with their end board, but you'll also be going plus in the process and possibly drawing into other hand traps. So that's why I think Charmies in main are fine. You have Breakout if you draw too much non-engine to start your turn. So I feel like Charmies, even in game 1s, makes sense, but I understand. If you go first game 1, like if you're winning die rolls, you don't want to see Charmies. I mean, he's not on crossout, so he doesn't need to play it in main deck, but yeah. And then only like 2 board breakers. I feel like this deck needs board breakers more than other decks do, and to see only 2 of them here to me is kind of interesting because it feels like you definitely need more than this, right? Like thrust, talents, like I don't know. If it worked out for him, this is great, right? Like if you're drawing enough cards that you eventually draw into like a 2 of, essentially a 2 of Harpy's Feather Duster, I mean, all the more power to you. And then Solemn's here for going first, which seemed kind of random. If I were to think about like what cards would be best going first, I guess you don't need to play Warning like a lot of people are when you have access to Caesar, and Judgment would be the next best thing. Sometimes it takes a little extra risk to make a Desiree, so you kind of just want to end on Caesar if you know what the deck the opponent's playing, but you want to make Desiree as well for the Spell Trap Negate. But if you can have the Spell and Trap Negate through Solemn, then I guess you'll be fine. Double Meow seems a little unnecessary. This card doesn't hurt Malice that much if the player is good. They can change their line so that you're only drawing like 1 to 2 cards max and still have like multiple, and just save all the banishes for your turn instead of on their turn. So they don't have to play into Meows if they don't want to. And that's why Meows being here too is like, yeah, you know, it's not the worst idea. I just personally kept it at 1 because I figured a Fuelos with a Meows would cripple or checkmate a Mouse player more than Meows by itself or double Meows. And Perulia makes sense. You need it for Vanquish Soul, you need it for Blue Eyes, so, and it really helps against Mitsui Ryziel as well, so Perulia being here is still good. Even though Goblin Biker naturally plays well into Ryziel, the Mitsurugi side of things makes things very complicated and can really muddy up certain matchups, or the way that the matchup goes. So with all that being said, let's get into the replay. So For some reason, TCG America Konami does not re-upload matches, so I have to go back into the stream itself and look for the very particular moment where we had the duel going on. But okay, so it's day 2. I casually turn on Nats because I'm like, I might as well see what's going on. And this is actually the first duel that I came across, which was like, dude, it was fate. It was destiny. The former Goblin Biker player, which I do still have the cards, I just haven't played the deck in like months. And you know, seeing someone take it all the way, not just to Nats, but to round 12 on a 9-2 record, I mean, this has to be absolute cinema. Especially when I'm seeing Ryziel as the opponent, I'm like, okay, this has to be absolute cinema. So this is a very last round. So being 9-2 here means that losing this round could potentially knock you out of top 64, because being X3 means you're basically tiebreaker for the top cut. And if you don't know how tiebreakers work in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, they really don't. It's a gamble. It's really just the algorithm just picks people randomly to take those top slots. There's no like, if there's like, let's say 20 people with enough points to qualify for those top 2 or 3 slots, there's no like side Swiss event to figure out who gets those slots. It's just 2 people are picked, or however many people are left over from all the people with higher points are just picked at random. So being X2 basically guarantees you a top spot in a large event like this. Being X2 guarantees you a top spot or close to top spot, but being X3 or being X2-1 is essentially like a tiebreaker gamble. So whoever loses, or if this round ends in a draw, it's very impactful towards who ends up getting the top cut in Nats. So I've yapped enough. It's time to duel. So we see dice roll. See the players draw their hand, and Mr. Ryziel is going first, right? So he starts with prayers, and this is most likely in draw phase because you wouldn't do this anywhere else. It's a quick play spell. You don't want to play into draw yet, so you do the prayers preemptively in draw phase to just get the Habakiri. And then once you go main phase, we also see a Perulia in his hand, which is very funny, like going first, drawing him no Charming. Very unfortunate, but it's a cost of playing the game in this format. So we go Habakiri, bring out the level 4 that would search the ritual spell, and once my man Da Vinci gets that ritual spell, my boy Joshua slaps that droll. I can't tell if that's Platinum Secret or QCR, but I love that it's the alternate art, right? Best droll out there. So first he's gonna summon from hand. He's gonna summon out the Habakiri. This way he gets the ritual back using the Mitsurugi effect, and he also gets an extender through Night Sword Serpent. And now he gets to ritual summon from deck. He's gonna bring out the Murakumo. And I'm like, okay, I've never seen Mitsurugi play under draw. I have not tested against Mitsurugi much, so I'm kind of curious like where this is going. And he goes Dynamondo. I'm like, okay, yeah. I did play Mitsurugi Ryziel once at locals, and Dynamondo is something that they do, so that's understandable. Dodo Warrior here was interesting to me because I'm like, do you really need the extra help? You're already on Ryziel. You have 2 of the best engines in the game, and you're playing Dodo Warrior? I mean, makes sense. It's a pretty good tech card. Although you're gonna see like he's not playing Star Ryziel or Ryziel in his list, and that's fine, right? If you want to do that, that's fine. But then you can't call those cards bricks when the Ryziel engine unbricks those cards, and then play the Dodo fucking glove. Right? Like that doesn't make sense. Glove is a worse brick than Star because at least you can make rank 4s using the Mitsurugi engine. So Star isn't even that much of a brick really. And same thing with Cross. You can make Duo Drive and just activate Cross before Duo Drive hits the field. And so Duo Drive is completely safe from like Nib or Ash or something, right? So, all right, let's analyze this end board. But before we go over the fact that Joshua got the God Hand with the Tract instead of Engraver, let's analyze this end board. We see Dynamondo plus Baguska. And in my mind, as my caveman brain, because I have not tested against Mitsurugi much, but I know, like, wait a minute, Dynamondo isn't an interruption after it's summoned. After it's summoned, all it does is tribute to summon Murakumo from the graveyard. And you have Baguska on field too. So you have Baguska on field and you have Dynamondo. So if he baits out the Dynamondo, let's say with SP, for example, Dynamondo will have to tribute itself and summon Murakumo. but Murakumo won't have its effect to Raigeki the field, so essentially it's not going to do anything if this Baguska is still on field, which just seems very redundant to me. So I'm like, this end board doesn't even make sense to me. But we know this guy, Droll basically killed his turn here. I get that. This end board, I'm not sure if he could have done anything better, but this end board to me doesn't make sense. Now, going over to Joshua's turn, he opens Fiendsmith Tract, right? We just looked at his list. 1 Tract, 3 Engraver. Mathematically, that's a miracle because look at what happens as soon as he resolves the Lurry. This man Da Vinci has his own Droll. Imagine that was Engraver instead of Tract. That would have hard stopped him there because if you would have went Engraver, activate Tract, well, in my how to hand trap or how to beat hand traps with Goblin Biker video, I always say there's like an order of priority with certain cards. So if you have like, let's say Grand Entrance plus Engraver, you want to go Grand Entrance first. That way, even through Droll, you still get the Gone Wild. Whereas if you go Engraver and you get Tract, that Droll will kill the Tract and the and the Grand Entrance. So you won't be able to get anything. So there's a certain order of operations. Now, obviously in this hand, because of the Baguska, he probably wouldn't have gone Grand Entrance first, but still, it's really fortunate that he got Tract here over the Fiendsmith Engraver because that really saved his turn right here. So he's going to keep going, right? Go into Lurry. I like to have the alternate art in the bottom there. We're going to link off, make Requiem. He's going to go Requiem effect. It's going to bring out Engraver. It's like, all right, that's fair. Requiem's going to equip, checking for Bystials. No Bystials. Okay, nice. So we're going to send the Engraver and the Requiem for the Necro equip. Not Starlight, but you know. So we're going to use Engraver, put back the Lurry. Still has no interruption because it's only Perulia left in his hand. And now it's like, okay, there's a lot he can do here. And so my man Joshua decides to go for SP, which makes perfect sense, right? Oh, I was thinking of the other game where he had the Mitsurugi trap card. This is actually Droplet, which is really funny here. Okay, so actually this end board makes sense now. Now that I've thought about it, the end board does make a little more sense because if you need to bring out Murakumo, you can Droplet send away the Baguska. So that's actually fine. My little rant earlier, sorry about that. So he goes Droplet, sends the Perulia, right? So you know your monster is about to get negated, and this man Joshua drew the God Hand. He drew fucking Grand Breakout on the Droplet, and this is probably Da Vinci's first time reading Goblin Biker cards, which is very surprising that as a Ryziel player, you don't know the biggest anti-meta option against you. It was pretty big, like back in January, February, a lot of people were learning about the Goblin Biker matchup. Now, I guess, Goblin Bikers have gone into a bit of secrecy, so people may not be as familiar with the Goblin Biker cards anymore. So he brings out Mean Merciless, which won't have its effect because of Droplet, right? But I think it's a good Goblin to bring out here because it's like, who cares if Mean Merciless gets negated? In my mind, I'm like, or in my monkey brain, I'm like, okay, he still gets to go like Typhon or something here, but he doesn't have to because he drew the Gone Wild. And this dude Da Vinci is like, this is just how fast he starts snatching up cards to read them is kind of hilarious. Like, this is the usual Goblin Biker versus Ryziel player experience that I've had firsthand. Even though I've played both decks, I've never played Goblin Biker with Ryziel, but every time I've played against Ryziel with Goblin Biker, my opponents get extra frustrated for whatever reason. It's just a deck that frustrates Ryziel players to play against. Now you can see Da Vinci here just like contemplating, like, like I don't really know what's going on. I don't know what these cards do. When do I tribute Dynamondo to bring out Murakumo? Because this boy Joshua just went Gone Wild for Doug Charger, right? And Doug Charger's about to search more engine, and we could see the Ghost Spell just sitting in hand, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter when Da Vinci was going to tribute that Dynamondo because it was never going to resolve. I also love that this is the one of Ghost Spell. You know, coming up to this format, I was hearing a lot of Ghost Spell isn't good, Ghost Spell isn't good. Bro played it at one copy and drew it and sacked his ass, bro. Not even gonna hold you. This is hilarious, man. So I guess DD Crow would have been just as good here. DD Crow would have been just as good. But the fact that it was a one-of card that a lot of people were writing off this format, absolute cinema. So essentially from here, Da Vinci has 0 cards left. Joshua just wins the game just off of card advantage. And you're gonna see he takes a little bit of time here, but he just links off for Moon, and then he links Moon and the Gone Wild off for Sequence, which I'm a little like, I mean, I guess through Droll, this, oh yeah, so he actually couldn't search because of Droll. So this does make sense. this does make sense because under Droll, you do have to play awkwardly, but the Fiendsmith kind of helps you work with that. So he just makes a Desiree. He could have went Agnumde here. He chose not to. In my mind, I'm like, at first, I'm like, okay, that kind of doesn't make sense. But then I'm like, oh, that could be playing through Typhon, right? Because if he normal summons any monster, goes into Typhon, Desiree can't do anything about it. Whereas at least now, if Da Vinci normal summoned any monster goes into Typhon, Desiree could at least negate its effects. And yeah, this dude drew Pterodile. I think he had it last turn as well. I don't think he top decked it, but it just happened to work better for this turn because it would have gotten him. Oh, he had 2 Terratops. So actually, yeah, he did draw it last turn. Okay, so now the players are sighting. We're gonna go into our game 2. So Da Vinci's gonna go first again, this time starting with an X Ryziel, and he goes Mill Duo Drive, which I'm not sure why you do this if you're not playing Ryziel Cross, because isn't just Mill Aggregator a better move? Or Mill Valon or something? Or Eclipse Twins, right? Aren't those just better moves? Anyway, X Search Sword, because now I'm thinking that as a Ryziel player, because I've been playing Heraldic Beast Ryziel a lot recently, and some of these moves just, I'm not sure if they pass the vibe check, right? So Sword's gonna search X here, search Ice, which makes sense. So Sword plus X makes the Duo Drive. Duo Drive's going to attach Duo Drive here, and he's gonna Ash Blossom, right? Awesome. Good hand trap on Joshua's side, saving the Ash for Duo Drive. So now this forces Da Vinci to play a little more awkwardly. He goes Ice, and with no Star Ryziel in his list. Oh wait, I just saw Ryziel Cross. So he's on Cross, he's just not on Star. But my last point still stands. That my point about Star Ryziel versus Dodododo Glove, I think that still stands. So he was playing Cross. That's why he went Mill Duo Drive and then attached to Duo Drive, because he was playing Cross to play around Nibiru, but this forced him to play awkwardly. As a matter of fact, if he was playing Star, before he went for Duo Drive, he could have went normal Ice, special Star set Cross, and that's 4 summons, right? If he would have ashed the Ice Ryziel or the Duo Drive would have been fine, because it still would have been under 5 summons, and then it wouldn't have gotten ashed. And if he would have saved the Ash after the Ryziels are summoned, then it also would have been fine, because he would have at least been able to negate the Ash. Now, we know, after seeing this, that, okay, our boy Da Vinci's, he was forced to summon Node here, because he's not playing Star. He goes for the Dodododo Warrior, which just seems kind of weird, right? Like, why not make an overlay first? And look at this! He bricked on Glove! If this was Star Ryziel, he could have at least specialed the Star. He bricked on Glove, so he had to mill Dodododo Warrior. Oh my god, man. I don't get it. Ryziel players, like, you have a card that does well into Droll, that gets you a monster negate, and you're just saying, no, it's too much of a brick. But you know what's not enough of, what's not too much of a brick? Dodododo Glove. Excuse me, Dodododo Dwarf Go Glove. That's his proper name. So he goes Warrior Mill Warrior to summon itself, and then our dude Josh was just like, all right, I mean, he's not going for Detonator yet, so this is fine. He goes for King of the Frail Limbs, and he's like, oh, he doesn't have any Mitsurugi cards in hand? Oh, this is free. This is a free Nibiru right here. I probably would have nibbed before he went for King of the Frail Limbs, because I guess nobody's on Trap Tricks with Flesia. I mean, if he was on Trap Tricks with Flesia, he probably would have made it before Duo Drive. If X and Sword resolve, I probably would have made Trap Tricks with Flesia here. And this man Da Vinci's just sitting here like, yeah, I guess I fucking lose. Just that look on his face is like, yeah, that's probably it. So King of Frail Imps, Node, and Duo Drive all go away. Coming up to this format, I've heard a lot of people say that Nib is not that good of a hand trap going into this format, just because it doesn't hurt Mitsurugi as well as they should, or as well as it should. It doesn't hurt Malice all that much. Vanquish Soul doesn't play into it. So the question is, like, what is Nib actually stopping? And the answer is that Nib is really only a problem solver when mixed with another hand trap, which also is what perplexes me about Joshua's, or it doesn't perplex me, but it also fascinates me about Joshua's deck design, is that it's not that likely that he'll draw Nib with another hand trap. He's only playing it at 2 copies, and he drew Nib plus Ash this game. He drew Droll plus Ghost Bell last game, so he's been drawing 2+ hand traps in these hands in his opening 5 cards. It just, call it luck of the Irish, I mean, I don't know. But it's just really fortunate that Nib is really what got him the game here, because Da Vinci was not refused to play Star Ryziel. And it's almost like people realized that Nib didn't do a lot by itself, so they started reducing its numbers in their deck lists. And because people are starting to take out Nib, by what happened is that some people started to take out Star, and some people even took out Cross. I've heard people IRL say they've taken Cross out them into YuGiOh list because they were quote-unquote bricks. A good number of people took out Star, some people took out Cross. And so now YuGiOh has stopped playing the counter to Nibiru, which means now the deck's worse into Nibiru. Now Nib plus another hand trap wasn't always going to stop YuGiOh because there's things like Star Leech, Photon Blast Dragon that could also help protect you through certain hand traps. I just found like the sequencing of some of these events funny. Like it feels like people kind of just say what they think from their testing, like not like, and it may not always be the best advice for the format, but sometimes it does end up causing people to manipulate their deck design and the way that they approach certain matchups. And so it's all led up to this moment right here for this dude getting nibbed for like his entire board and having no follow-up, which is kind of crazy. You know, I can't even lie, getting greedy with like node is something that I've done before, so I completely get it. I get it, I do, but it's just really fucked that it ended up like this. If this was anything other than Fire Limps, I would have waited for the node effect to use the nib, but because this was Fire Limps, it makes sense. You don't want him to get that surge, potentially get Habakiri, and then start playing off from there. Because the fact that he made King of the Fire Limps here tells you everything that you need to know. And then node would have made Detonator, which even then Detonator would not have stopped Nibiru. Like if this was anything other than Fire Limps that just was there to detach, he probably could have, I want to say he could have made Eclipse Twins, but yeah, he didn't have any other rank 4 in this graveyard, so there's no point. All right, so he slaps the nib down here and he sets a Mitsurugi trap, and that's it, right? I mean, okay, I get it, right? You don't like playing Star because you call it a brick, but then you play Do-Do-Do-Do-Do. And Do-Do-Do-Do-Do gives you more player expression, it gives you more versatility than Star in certain situations, but it's also, like, Star is just less of a brick than the glove. So why introduce more bricks into your deck, even though it's more level 4s, sure, but YuGiOh doesn't need more level 4s. Like, if we're talking just a YuGiOh end board, you don't need more level 4s for the sake of level 4s, you only need level 4s to really play through hand traps. And Star already helps you play through hand traps, like Droll and like even there in the Ash Blossom scenario. So I don't know. So he passed his turn. I might just be talking out my ass here, but cuts the deck because he searched a few times, right? And we're gonna see our boy Joshua start the turn off with a Grand Entrance. At this point, he's just looking for the Droll, and Da Vinci's just reading the card. He's reading every Goblin card. He just doesn't know what they do. And I love the way that he like gestured for the card. He's just like, he just puts his hand out. He doesn't even say a word. he is just mogging, putting his hand out, and Joshua just passes him the card. Yeah, so they start calculating the stats of the token before they continue playing. It's like 5,000, 6,000 something, around there, that ballpark. So this is where I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure our boy Joshua got this, right? So he searches a Gone Wild, which at this point is a little awkward because he may have to tribute summon it. And so I'm not sure why he went for the Grand Entrance here, because I'm like, I personally would have waited for like until I had an Exceed monster on field, or I would have gone for Doug Charger or something, right? But I'm gonna let this man cook because he knows what he's doing. So he goes normal Lurie and he links it off with the Nibiru to make Moon, which is very weird, right? Because you could just link Lurie off to make Requiem, so why would you link both off to make Moon? Then he links the Moon off to make the Requiem, and then he tributes to Requiem, and Da Vinci says, okay, Ash Blossom. At this point, he's used his normal summon, he's used the Fiendsmith engine, and he has no monsters left on field. Unless he has the Dark Magician in his hand and he can attack for game, this might be it, right? No, because we drew the God Hand, we drew the Terratop. So he tested for Droll, which made sense, right? Because by testing for Droll, he knew that his Terratop would resolve because Droll didn't resolve. So he gets the Takatomborg here, and I'm like, this is really good. This is a really good position he's in. So he goes for Takatomborg. The only issue is that Gabanga can't swallow tokens because tokens cannot be Exceed material. So I'm like, okay, now he goes for Goblin Line. Dude, look at how quick he snatched that big Gabanga, dude. And it's QCR, dude. I'd be like, all right, you don't know how to snatch it that fast, all right? It's QCR. I know it's only like 20 bucks, but like, come on. So he's reading the card. At this point, Da Vinci should just know that he lost. He knows that he has Mitsurugi Trap and Do-Do-Do Glove in hand, and he's already used his one hand trap. He knows that he lost. Like, Typhon clears this board. Typhon just wins this game. So he's still reading everything just to make sure, because I mean, you're at round 12 of Nationals, right? if there's any small chance you can come back, you want to be able to come back. And I get it. You know, the nerves are getting to you, and I completely understand. But like, you know, so at this point he goes for the Doug Charger, and Joshua starts explaining the effect, right? Detach one to summon, search a spell and trap on summon. So that's exactly what he does. Detaches Taka Tumborg, searches a spell or trap, and I'm like, my black ass thought he was gonna go for Breakout. He goes for Grand Bash. And this is when I was genuinely surprised. I'm like, dude, this guy's fucking brilliant. I'm like, wait a minute. He searched Gone Wild, so he gets an extra normal summon. He has only goblins on the field right now. And this also increases the attack of the goblins that he controls for each one. So this is just really good. So he goes normal summon the Gone Wild, right? And this, I'm like, dude, this is solid. This is like a really good line right here. So Gone Wild goes off, gets the Clatter Sploder. I don't believe we have any goblins in Graveyard. I think he's just setting up for the next turn, since he doesn't have any more like Breakout or anything like that. He already used Entrance. He can't search Breakout. So going for Clatter Sploder here over the Mean Merciless does make sense. I probably would have made Mean Merciless just so like I link off Gone Wild plus Mean Merciless, make a link 2, Gone Wild target the set, swallow, and then detach 1, special back Mean Merciless, and then just overlay your highest attack monster to Typhon, and you should have game here, right? Because of the Goblin spell card. And we know it's not Imperm because Imperm would have been used already. We know it's not Droplet. Droplet would have been used already. So we can assume that it's some sort of engine card. We know it's not Solemn. Solemn probably would have been used already. So at this point, he makes Crazy Beast, actually, which is actually a really good decision here too. I'm like, okay, because I'm not used to Grand Bash being on the field, so I'm not thinking about Grand Bash lines right now. But yeah, you can make Doug Charger a level 6, go for Crazy Beast detach, target that set card. Although he really didn't have to. Just putting it out there, like he could have just linked off Gone Wild, target the set to attach to Gabonga. So this is already like, okay, he doesn't have to do this, but I understand, right? Again, nerves getting to you and all this and that. And he also chooses not to detach the Gone Wild, right? Because the token can't be attached, and he's already attempting to attach the set card, so that makes sense. I'm like, okay, so what is he gonna do with the Clatter Sploder? Because I would assume it's like, okay, if you want Clatter Sploder in Graveyard, you would have put it under Crazy Beast instead of Doug Charger. I think that would have been a better move here, so that Clatter Sploder stays in Grave, so you don't have to have anxiety about it after. So then he goes Gabonga plus Clatter? I'm like, wait a minute, you don't need to keep Crazy Beast on field. If there is a nib, he would have resolved it already. You can assume the last card in his hand is Glove. I mean, that's if you're really thinking about it, if you're not too distracted by the fact that you may just be winning this game 2-0, right? Like I've gotten distracted by that before and like misplayed because of like getting too ahead of myself. So I understand but I want to speak about why this is a very weird decision. First off, you know this token has like 6,000 attacks, something like that. You have done nothing to remove it from field. You're not playing Typhon, and you're just not using the full extent of your engine. And for some reason, because linking off Gabonga over Crazy Beast here is wild to me, because Crazy Beast can summon itself back from Graveyard once per duel. So even if you need Crazy Beast to stay on field, it can stay on field, and Gabonga can still get materials attached to it on end phase. So I'm just a little lost. And this is where I'm like, if he would have just detached or linked off the Gone Wild and attached the set card, or attempt to attach the set card to the Gabonga, probably would have been a better move than doing all of this to make Crazy Beast and then utilizing more resources or overextending to make IP when the token's still on field. And then he just passed his turn. I'm like, it hurts. It really does hurt. And what happens next is even weirder to me. So we see Da Vinci draw a card. We know Glove is in hand, or we should know Glove is in hand because he went Dododo, Mill Dododo. So we know one unknown card plus Glove. We have Crazy Beast, we have IP, we have Clatter Sploder in Graveyard. So we have around 2 interruptions at the moment. So Grand Bash is only giving Crazy Beast another 300 because it's the only Goblin on field right now. That's all it's doing right now. So he switches the token to attack mode. I'm like, okay, fair enough. He goes battle phase. No response from Joshua here. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, maybe he doesn't want to play into talents. Maybe he knows that he can get over the token next turn. He doesn't want to play the talents. Fair enough, right? Attacks into IP. Joshua just takes it. I'm like, wait a minute, bro. You gave up Gabanga, Clatter Exploder, Doug Charger, Gone Wild. You had game on board last turn with Typhon. If you played it, you don't. Now we know. Or you could have simply just removed the token from existence with SP, and then you could have used like Mean Merciless or something to go into A-Bow at the very least, and you would have had like A-Bow plus Gabanga plus Clatter Exploder in Graveyard. You could have did something like that last turn, something to that extent, and none of that happened. Instead, you just went, okay, overextend into Crazy Beast, because it was a bit of an overextending. It's fine. I guess in the list he was playing in his lines, but then he goes overextend into IP over the SP because for whatever reason. Like, sometimes you do make bad decisions at tournaments and you're just thinking to yourself, why the fuck did I not do this after? Like, for the rest of the match, that's all you're thinking. So I get it. So again, no shade against Joshua. Sometimes we misplay, but this was just very weird on his part. Now, granted, Crazy Beast does still have 2 materials, and Clatter Exploder is still sitting in his graveyard. So hitting the IP doesn't lose him the game here, but it was just a very redundant thing to go for IP Masquerena to just let it get attacked over. So Da Vinci sets a card, which we know is a Do Glove. He's reading Clatter Exploder again, right? So he detaches 1, detaches to Gone Wild, special summon. Clatter Exploder is going to target most likely Gabanga, because you only play 1 Clatter Exploder, so you won't have another chance to bring Gabanga out. But he is playing multiple Gabanga, so this is also why I don't think you need multiple Gabanga unless you're dealing with like crazy amount of Bystials or something, because like he can just bring Gabanga back. He doesn't need to play another one in this scenario. But yeah, he gets to attach Glove to any Goblin monster he controls. Well, I guess when Gone Wild was detached, Crazy Beast was the only one on field, so that makes sense. And he's reading Gabanga again. Again, he can't do anything against this token. So now on end phase, we're attaching 1 from deck. I personally would have attached Mean Merciless if he had nothing else on field, because that's the only one non-rotation. But I understand why you attached Gone Wild, right? Like, you just want to have like that, like, just in case. To be honest, like, this game's going on longer than it should be. That's the point I'm really trying to bring home here. But when you misplay, you just have to keep going with your misplay. You can't just like stop the duel and say, oh, can we go back? Like, pretty rarely people will let you go back. Unless you're like really chill, or unless it's like locals. But if you're at like a regionals or like really large event, really rarely people will let you go back. It's like, they'll be like, I'm sorry, you already committed to the move, please just keep playing. So that's what Josh was doing. He's keep playing, even though he's committed to some weird moves. Maybe his first time on stream, or it very well might be his first time on stream, because we looked at his record. He hasn't topped Nats before, he hasn't topped the YCS before, so this very well may be his first time playing on stream. So he goes Grand Entrance here. This time he gets to Mean Merciless, which is fine. And then he's gonna use the second effect of Grand Entrance, or the second part of the first effect, to detach, special summon Mean Merciless. And then it's gonna link off here. Oh, he's gonna do Grand Entrance second effect first. So detach 1, get back to Gone Wild. But it makes sense playing more Goblin names if you're playing triple Gone Wild, if you're just going to be resolving Gone Wild more times in a single game. So that's also why it makes sense. Like, in my version of this deck, the only thing he'd have, I may have already gone through 2 Doug Chargers when playing Breakout over Grand Bash. So playing Grand Bash keeps your Doug Chargers in deck, because you don't need to like tribute Doug, summon, go into Goblin Engine, go for Gabanga, and then add Doug, and then to special summon out the second Doug. So he uses Gabanga to go for SP, then he doesn't use the SP banish. I'm like, okay, I mean, by all means. Then he goes for the Mean Merciless graveyard effect to special summon itself back. And now, because both Clatter Exploder and Mean Merciless were both special summoned back from the graveyard, if they're used for a link summon, they get banished. So now he normal summons out Gone Wild, brings out his second Doug Charger from deck. He goes for Searching Breakout, because he has more names in deck, which makes sense. And now he's going to link off the SP and the 2 monsters that would have been able, or that would be banished, which I don't think was correct, but it really doesn't matter. Like, you could have linked off Crazy Beast and just special summoned it back. If he has a Bystial, who cares? You can swing over it. I mean, if he had a Bystial, he probably would have used it on the Clatter Splitter bring back Gabanga. Now he gets to A-Bow, drop 1, pop the token, and attack directly for well over 8,000. So that is how Goblin Bikers got into top 64 of day 2 in the North America Nationals of 2025. Sadly, our boy Joshua did not make it past top 32, but yeah, I mean, even in some of these scenarios, it just felt really weird, A, seeing Goblin Biker, and B, like having all the Goblin Biker lines and things come back to me as I'm watching this. Big respect to both players, even though Da Vinci, the way he was handling this dude Joshua's cards was a little aggressive, but otherwise he was a pretty good sport. I've had people really bitch to me playing Goblin Bikers against YuGiOh. I've had people, even when I was playing Odeon, YuGiOh players would bitch at me at like regionals and stuff. So I respect the sportsmanship, but he still fell into the typical YuGiOh player mentality of like getting like that slightly bit frustrated. I don't know if he was frustrated in himself, if he was frustrated that his opponent did everything to counter him or had the perfect counters to him. I don't know if he's frustrated, if he feels like he could have played that better. Maybe he could have, but yeah, overall a pretty fun, entertaining match to watch instead of this Malice or whatever. Like the fact that Malice lost to grand finals because the dude didn't read World Crown properly, kind of crazy. But again, people misplay at big events. I mean, that's just how some of these go sometimes. And dude, the fact that like this game went on like 10 minutes longer than it had to because Typhon was not in his extra deck still perplexes me to this day. I'm still wondering, what situations do you summon Chaos Angel in where it's like better than Typhon? I'm still not too sure on that. Agnumde and Goblin Biker is still, in my opinion, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I get why it's there, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. And otherwise, I mean, there was also, like, he could have searched Breakout turn 1. Like, he could have summoned the token in attack position, searched Breakout game 1, link off with the... But I get it. Going second with Goblin Biker is very awkward because it's hard to see all the lines before you. It's very difficult. Like, going second is like, and sequencing and planning ahead when going second is really a large acquired skill. Like, it's not something you're going to just pick up naturally. So I completely understand, you know, the nerves getting to him, but I'd say, you know, good shit anyway. And I'm really happy that, you know, throughout all the shit that Goblin Biker has gotten throughout this past year, the fact that the rank 6 we got in Supreme Darkness is practically worthless because it doesn't do anything for the deck or for the engine, and Crazy Beast is still just a better card, and people kind of like writing the deck off and the deck kind of falling off, but still being able to get this top. I'm completely proud of this man Joshua, you know, well done. And this is what I feel is the issue with a lot of top players or a lot of people who try to prepare for events like this, is they always ask themselves, what deck is best positioned to win, instead of what deck am I best positioned to pilot? Because despite all of Joshua's mistakes here, he's still a good Goblin Biker pilot. I'm not trying to come against his skill here. Obviously, there's always ways people can improve, but he chose the deck that he loved and that he knew that he was good with and that he was confident with, rather than trying to pick a meta option and then learning, or then trying to learn the matchup from there. If you haven't spent those months putting that time in, and then you all of a sudden just want to pick a meta option and say, here I go, you have a lot of catching up to do as to why the deck is meta. Sometimes some decks don't just carry you. Sometimes you need that technical skill of sequencing and technical gameplay, and you're not going to get that in like a week unless you are just really good at the game. So if this can be a lesson to anyone, it's please just, if you're going to go to a big event, obviously play test, but pick a deck that you're confident in. That's what's important, and that's the lesson for today. So that's how Goblin Bikers top 64 in the NAWCQ. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys have any questions or comments in the comment section below. I may have to make more Goblin Biker content after this because people are going to keep asking, like, man, how do we play the deck now? How do we play the deck now? I was a bit doom and gloom about the deck, not going to lie. Now I'm like, okay, we'll have to see what the ban list brings, because if the ban list brings back Invoker or Dryden, dude, I already know what I'm doing next format. I already know. I'm sure you guys know too, but we'll see what the ban list brings. If the ban list has some sauce on it, I can make some pretty good Goblin content. If not, we can keep talking about Fiendsmith Goblin. So this has been your boy Nistro here. Remember to use code Nistro to save 5% off your card trader order, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.